The Cold War, while it wasn't physical, the culture surrounding it was enough to cause substantial damage. Overdependence on a strong military caused the Soviets to become a little laxed in their safety culture. The Soviet Union and America were too busy staring each other down to notice that Russia's crappy attention to the important details of the important things like, oh, I don't know, a revolutionary source of energy that can change the path of the Soviet Union forever and basically declaring them as the cooler one in the war? The 1980s was a fun time full of neon colors and ugly perms, but this wasn't just a period of your retro dreams and desires. The Cold War had been silently raging for 40 years and the Soviets' coolest invention had been up and running for a few years: the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Located southeast of Pripyat, the Chernobyl power plant was a cool new source of energy for the local Ukrainians. No matter how cool it seemed, what they didn't know was that the entire thing was held up by 2 sticks and a roll of masking tape. On April 26, 1986 at 1:23 a.m., Anatoly Dyatlov, Viktor Bryukhanov, and Leonid Toptunov were on the night shift to conduct a fairly routine test, how the plant would react in the case of a power outage. The test was supposed to go as usual, with nothing out of the ordinary to happen. The reaction was quick. There was no time to think. On April 26, 1986, at 1:23 a.m., the history of the Soviet Union and its legacy would be changed forever. The number 4 RBMK reactor experienced a higher output of energy than usual, and it exploded, raining hellfire upon the Chernobyl power plant. Fuel made of radioactive isotopes cesium-137 and iodine-131 created a disgusting, skin-melting amalgamation of some of the most radioactive elements out there, the elephant's foot. This would not be discovered until December 1986. Fires started all throughout the plant. The floor surrounding it was seared to a crisp. 1 man died instantly, another hours later in the hospital. 28 more would die within the next few weeks from radiation poisoning. After the fires were extinguished, the famous Chernobyl nuclear power plant was only left with a gaping hole in its side. But the residents in Pripyat and beyond would be evacuated from anywhere within a 20-mile radius of the plant, which came to be known as the exclusion zone. For the next few years, their food, specifically meat and dairy, would be contaminated with high levels of cesium-137. The livestock within the exclusion zone would experience not only the immediate effects of radiation, but the long-term genetic side of it too. The floating debris contaminated with the radiation from the explosion and the fires spread as far as Scandinavia and in some other parts of Europe. Pripyat, a city once teeming with life, would now be an abandoned wasteland for many centuries to come. Anatoly Dyatlov was the superior manager to Leonid Toptunov, a senior reactor control engineer. Toptunov took a couple of missteps which led to the reactor's power output to dramatically fall. He suggested completely shutting the reactor down and ending the test. Dyatlov, however, said no and forced him to continue with the test. This transaction, along with the lack of safety culture at the time and multiple instances of human error, came to be one of the most catastrophic man-made disasters in history. Things aren't as bad anymore, though. The first picture of the elephant's foot was taken in 1996, and today you can stand near it for almost an hour without getting radiation poisoning, though I wouldn't recommend it. Many parts just outside of the exclusion zone have been decontaminated and are safe for tourists to visit. The land in and out of the exclusion zone, a once barren wasteland, is beginning to recover. The exclusion zone is overrun with wildlife, mainly wolves, moose, deer, and more. There's also this video of a fox eating a sandwich made by the scientists visiting the area. While some areas may be safe for tourists and animals, its legacy will not only be forever seared in the history of the Soviet Union and Ukraine, but in the earth as well.